Hi, this is Armando, Cruz creator and founder of Cruz Country Fitness and Physical Therapy. And this video is in response to Daniel's comment to my original video of stretching. Should you stretch after your workouts? And he asked, isn't stretching gonna improve your flexibility, which in turn improves your mobility, which in turn helps you decrease your chances of injury? And the answer to that generally is yes, but no. And here's why. Not all stretching is created equal. And so what most people think of flexibility, or when we're talking about flexibility, we're actually talking about your tissue lengthening and staying lengthened for a grand period of time. What they found with static stretching, which is again what most people think of when they think of stretching, is that you would have to sustain it for very long periods of time. In other words, if you wanted to be in a split position or your hamstrings to be, you're talking about, several minutes worth of you just sitting and being in that position for there to actually be lengthening. But then you take that back and you ask, does that help prevent injury? And while you're doing that, it actually weakens the tissues because you're taking the tissues all the way to its extreme end. And because you're lengthening it's almost like you're creating micro tears, and you're actually weakening the structure for a little bit. And then once it scars up a bit, it restructures itself and starts getting used to that new length. Then you'd have to build some strength around that. And so part of that is the premise that you'll find a lot of dancers and gymnasts. The problem is comparing dancers to gymnasts is that gymnasts in general have a better strength to flexibility ratio. In other words, it's not necessarily a static stretching. In fact, that's always the case. But more often than not, I find more issues with dancers being so hypermobile, meaning their ligaments and tissues are so lax, so loose, that it creates a different problem than if you were just really tight. And so the purpose of the original video was, first of all, so that people understand that sometimes the psychological effect of a light stretch makes you feel better and makes you feel more recovered regardless of what's happening physiologically. And when done in a group setting, it's also therapeutic and energizing from that perspective. From the pure injury prevention, there are other things that would help. Mobility is different than flexibility. And the difference is mobility is the ability of your joint to be able to go through its full range or greater range. And flexibility is that the tissues are able to go through a range, and they're two separate things. Very often, when we're talking about regular population, not dancers, not gymnasts, not people who need a abnormal amount of flexibility. When we're talking about general population, the lack of what most people consider flexibility has little to do with the actual tissues actually getting longer, and has more to do with the brain. In fact, there's another video that I made that speaks to this, and I'll link it with this video as well. But again, just to answer your question, does stretching actually prevent injury? I would say yes, when done properly. If you go too much and you push the envelope, you're actually weakening the tissues, and in essence, you creating another problem. So I hope that answers your question. This has been Armando signing off. If you have any other questions, post it right here, and I'll be more than happy to answer back. Take care.